Kimberly with the Fat Quarter Shop, and we're back with another episode of AGF Stitched. This quilt is called Cosmos, and it uses the Flower Child collection by Maureen Cracknell, and it looks super complicated, but I'm going to walk you through lots of tips to show you how to get your points to match. And the quilt really just has 3 different blocks, so let's get started. So to follow along with me, download this free pattern. We're going to be making 2 different blocks called Stardust and Galaxy, and in both of those blocks you're going to cut wedges. We're using the Creative Grids Starburst 30-degree ruler that I designed. You're going to cut your strips according to your pattern, and you're going to be using this technique throughout. You're going to find the 5.5-inch line and align it at the very top of your strip. You're going to cut. I do not like to move my fabric because I feel like I get a more accurate cut, so I'm going to do this. Only do that if you're totally comfortable, because you could really cut yourself, but I prefer accuracy. So you're going to keep doing that, and as you go you want to line up the left and the bottom, and these are all bias edges, so they're going to be very stretchy. So as you cut, you're going to get a better result if you go nice and slow and cut more accurately. So you're just going to keep doing that on your strips. For your D, you're going to make 108. You're going to make 16 J's, 20 M's, and 16 N's. So in your blocks, you're going to be making star point units. They're all going to have 3 pieces. Our pink one is going to start with 2 D wedges and 1 J wedge. So like I said, these are bias edges. So if you pull them, they're going to move. Unlike this one, this wouldn't move. So the first step is going to be put right sides together and really pay attention to making sure it's totally lined up, because the more it's lined up, the less mistakes it's going to show. So you're going to pin. I'm going to probably do 3 pins because it's on the bias. And I'm just going to check to make sure the front and the back are lined up on this side. I'm using color 2026 today with Aurifil. It's a little bit wider than the color I usually use, and it's a little more modern, and I think it's going to blend well. You're going to stitch, I'm going to use a 1.5 stitch length because we're going to be pressing seams open, and if you press seams open and you don't do a tight stitch length, when you press, your seams will come open at the top and the bottom. So use a tight stitch length, a 1/4 inch seam, and go all the way down. Then you're going to press that open, and you're going to add the other white triangle wedge. So this is what the back is going to look like. You've pressed open, pinned, and pressed open, and you're going to see that you have a little wedge right here, like a little notch. I'm going to go ahead and trim that down like a sliver, just to get a little bit of the bulk out of the way. Then we're going to trim this down to 3.5 inches. The first thing I'm going to do is fold the very center and get kind of a finger press so you've got the center line. I'm going to use a Creative Grids 3.5 inch ruler, and you'll see that there's a dotted line that shows the 1/4 inch seam. You're going to put that on your point. Then you're going to put this diagonal line on your crease, and you're going to cut. Now, I always, when I'm doing something like this, I'm going to use a rotating mat so that everything doesn't rotate. But I think it's really important to really take your time and make sure all this is lined up. We're going to trim it to 3.5 inches. And you're going to make 16 star point units. So our next step is to turn our star points into stardust units. This also is a really slow step that you should just go slow in. I'm going to put these, they're going to make a unit, but I'm going to give you some tips. First, I'm going to put right sides together. I'm going to pin the bottom part. And then on this section, I am going to look at it, make sure everything lines up, and pin right in that intersection. And then I'll also pin at the top, and I will sew down. Now on this, I would also keep your stitch length pretty small. You're going to make 4 pink, 5 aqua, and 4 teal. Now on this step, you have lots of options. You can either press to one side or you can press open. On this one, I would just leave it to personal preference. Since you've already pressed open, you might want to stay pressing open, so I would kind of leave that up to you. So I want to mention in this step that you've got aqua and teal. The teal is darker, so let's save the teal for your next step and only use aqua. We're going to be making this Stardust block, super simple, a pink, aqua, 2 fabric C-squares, sew it together, press. You're going to make 4 of these for the corners of your quilt. So now we're going to move to our Galaxy block, and the teal units that you saved are going to be used for this step, and then after that step, we're going to be doing our flying geese. And I wanted to introduce you to a brand new tool called Ultimate Flying Geese Tool. It's by Creative Grids. They've had the ruler a long time, and I just used it recently, and it gives you excellent results. So you're going to take your fabric H square, you're going to take your fabric E squares, and on the wrong side, draw lines from corner to corner with a friction pin. I'm using a friction pin because when you iron with heat, that is going to disappear. So you will place them top left, bottom right corner. You want to pin this in place at least twice so it stays steady. So you've got your line already drawn. You're going to then stitch a 1/4 inch away from those lines. That is going to look like this. Now on this step, you can use like a 2.0 stitch length. Then you're going to cut this in half on your line, and you can use the 1/4 inch line on this ruler, and you're going to get 2 of these. You're going to press this out. And then that is going to look like this. Then you're going to take another fabric E square and put it on the bottom right corner. And again, stitch a 1/4 inch away from the drawn line. It's going to look like this. And again, if you cut that, you're going to get 2 more flying geese. They look like this. You're going to press them. And I'm going to show you how you trim that down with this tool. So by using this tool, you're making the flying geese just a tiny bit bigger so that when you trim it down, it's 100% accurate, which really helps in this quilt because you've got so many pieces going on. So we're going to cut down 3 by 6. So you'll put your ruler on the 3 by 6. It says right here, 3 by 6, it's a white line. I'm going to line up both of these, and I'm going to trim the side and the top. And you can see there's very little fabric waste in this. When you use this method, you are going to save so much fabric than if you do the traditional way, and it's going to be more accurate. So now you'll flip this around, flip your ruler, and again, find the 3 by 6 line. And now you have lots of lines you can line up. You can line up the left, the bottom, and your V, and your point, and you trim. And this is going to give you just a really nice, perfect flying geese. And I would encourage you to try this method. I think you're going to really like it. And you're going to make a total of 28 flying geese. Now we're ready to put together our Galaxy block using our teal star points and our flying geese. So the first step is to take a fabric F rectangle and 3 flying geese, just stitch together with a 1/4 inch seam, and you can use like a 2.0 stitch length at this point. Press according to your pattern, and you're going to make 8 of these. Then you're going to take your teal star point, flying geese, and your fabric F rectangle, and you're going to make 4 of these. And I would just pay close attention to the direction of your flying geese, because that would be easy to get messed up at this point since it's so complicated. You're going to put those together. We're going to make a total of 4 galaxy blocks, and just again pay attention to the direction of your flying geese. So we're going to move to our final block in this Cosmos quilt, and it's called the Cosmos block. You're going to take your fabric A strip and a Creative Grits ruler, and you're using the same technique we did in the very beginning, except this time you're using the 7.5-inch line. You're just going to do that same technique where you cut and flip your ruler and keep cutting. And you're going to make a total of 8 wedges. So now we're going to make a strip set by putting a fabric K and fabric L rectangle together. You're going to want to switch back to a shorter stitch length because this is going to be pressed open. You're going to make 1 of these, and then this is different. We're going to be cutting 4 different supernova units, but this time the ruler is going to go the same direction. You're not going to flip it. So you need to make sure that you have enough room before you start so that you're in the right spot. So you want to go all the way to the left. This time you're going to use your fabric C1 line, which is right here. And this is what I like to do. Move that away so that when you cut this next step, you're not cutting in to your strip that you're still going to have to use. And you can see when I cut, I never moved my hand off the ruler, so it came out perfectly. You're going to make a total of 4. For the supernova burst units, we're going to use that very same technique that we did in the galaxy blocks. So you're going to take your fabric A wedges, your supernova unit, pin them together, press open, pin it together, press open, and it's going to look like this. The only difference is this is a little bit different size. It's bigger. Then you're going to trim down using that same exact technique we did with a Creative Grid 6.5-inch square ruler. So just the same exact technique, and we're going to make 4 of these units. Now we're on our very last unit, and again, it's another cool technique. You're going to take a fabric I and a fabric B square, put them right sides together, draw a line from corner to corner with your friction pin. I'm going to use pins. Then you're going to stitch a 1/4 inch away from your drawn line, cut in the center, and press. And that is going to give you 2 different half square triangles. Then what you're going to do is place those together, and you want to line them up just like this, and I put my finger right in the center seam. We've pressed towards the dark so that that seam matches up, and I'm going to put a pin here. I'm going to pin in each corner just to kind of keep everything in place. You can trim the dog ears off now or later, either one. So I've got that all in place. Now I'm going to stitch a 1/4 inch away from that line and press. And you are going to have an hourglass unit that measures 6.5 inches wide, and you're going to make 4 of these. So to complete the Cosmos block, you're going to put together your 4 hourglass, 4 supernova, and your leftover aqua star point. You're going to put those together, and your center Cosmos block is done. To put your quilt together, you're going to make an Orion row. That includes 2 starburst blocks and 1 galaxy block. Make 2. To make your Milky Way row, assemble 2 galaxy blocks and the Cosmos block. You're going to make 1. Put your 3 rows together, and your quilt center measures 42.5 inches square. Then add your side borders and your top and bottom borders. This quilt is out of this world, and I cannot wait for all of you guys to try it. Definitely share below what technique you loved learning the most, and we'll see you next time. bye.